You ready?
Right. Yeah, bro.
What's up, Guns Out Range Day 2023?
What's the name of the podcast, John?
This is the Go Beyond Podcast Range Day Special. Let's go.
Wow. And get some.
Wow. Guys, welcome back to the Go Beyond Podcast Range Day edition. We're getting ready to wrap this up because we see a mob forming here waiting for the prizes. I've been waiting for the prizes all day too myself, bro.
I know you have. I can't wait to see who win the prizes, guys. We're also doing a special edition of the Shermichael Singleton Show live on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126. So if you listened to the show last week, we were live at XCal in Loudoun County, Virginia, and now this is a pre-record, but we're still kind of live, I guess, right?
Yeah,
live in the moment,
but
not next Saturday. We
definitely live in the moment, bro. And I'm feeling the energy right now,
no,
man.
I
So
am
let's
too.
keep the
So
moment going.
we have a special guest joining us who is a friend of, actually, since the very beginning,
absolutely,
John.
yes.
When we were doing Saturday Shooters.
First episode, like literally the first legit
3
episode.
years ago?
Oh, my gosh, yeah, bro.
Stephen Gutowski, he's the founder, creator of The Reload. He is also, now you guys are going to find this to be interesting, he is the firearms analyst for CNN.
Wow.
Yeah, even CNN recognizes guns as a thing now.
I was just about to say that, and not only do they recognize the thing, but they're smart enough to bring in a subject matter expert, unlike YouTube. I mean,
Stephen, welcome to the podcast and the show, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I mean, Stephen, did you expect us? I mean, look at this. From us just hanging out shooting guns on a Saturday.
You have an interesting perspective because you were there when we didn't even have like branding on the episode and
nothing.
Shermichael tried to close the show by himself like it was all his show by himself. Remember that? It was crazy. So to see it where we started and to what we are doing right now, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's incredible the kind of growth you guys have had, and I think it really speaks to this new moment in the gun owning community. Right, the rise of a new kind of gun owner that you guys really connect with, and a new style too. I mean, look at you. You got your aviators.
Well, you know John, Stephen. You know John.
Hey, listen, I'm consistent. I gotta stay on brand. I gotta stay on brand.
John's got a very specific and very cool style.
That is true.
I appreciate
that.
That is true. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know what, Stephen? That's so funny you said that because my mom said that about you. She said, John has maintained his consistency, and she thought with us doing in-camera stuff together that I would slowly bring you more to the more formal analyst in front of the camera role.
But I
can
do
including reading the teleprompter. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can read.
That's impressive. Yeah,
Thank you.
Which is not easy.
And I'll say one of the first things I noticed that first day we went to the range together was, you had the Cerakoted guns. You had everything on point. It was fantastic.
Everything has been the same.
And it's still like that, and I appreciate that.
You know what? I'm
I'm
moving into the gold plating now.
Oh, God.
Yeah, maybe a little fancier than the red
gotta
Cerakote
get a little bit
now,
bougie.
The next level of Mr.
Next
Keys.
level,
As
yeah.
Taryn would say, Mr. Keys. So, Stephen, talk to us a little bit about The Reload. I remember when you first founded The Reload, you decided to sort of go out on your own, embark upon starting your own independent firearms online publication. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we kind of started it around the same time.
That's right. It was around the same time.
One of our first big pieces at The Reload was a profile of you guys, of Guns Out, of this moment in gun culture, of this rise of gun culture 2.0, and how that's impacting not just the gun owning community, but also gun politics, because that's what we focus on a lot, right? Gun news, gun politics, looking at the national level, trying to focus on original reporting, going out and gathering facts and reporting them people in a sober way that's not, throwing out bombs and giving hot takes. We're focused on reporting, and that's something I think that's set us apart in a lot of ways since we began, 2 years ago, and we've grown as well over at The Reload, and we've broken stories. We were just cited in a Fifth Circuit panel opinion on the pistol brace ban. Yeah, they cited our reporting.
Congratulations to that. And Stephen, just explain really quickly why that is important. Explain that to people who are listening to the show. Being cited by a major federal court in a major court case is not something to just overlook and dismiss.
Yeah, look, there's a lack of sober, serious reporting on the Second Amendment that's also independent and informed, right? You see a lot of reporting out there where the reporters just don't have the knowledge necessary to understand what's going on in the regulation of guns, or even honestly how the guns basically function, right? You get semi-automatic versus fully automatic messed up all the time in media. And there's this empty spot that I think we're trying to fill with just it is kind of just that base level understanding of how things work, how guns work, how gun laws work, and how gun culture works.
Yeah, I think people are fascinated by that because, again, there's so many people that don't know so much about firearms beyond what they see in movies, right? And that fascinates them. Everyone's fascinated with seeing John Wick shoot a
Everybody wants to be John Wick.
Everybody wants to be that guy, you know? Everything from the sniper movies to the military movies to the John Wick movies. People are fascinated with how guns are handled, the types of firearms. That's another part, right? The types of firearms. They just love to see all of the Terran tactical Glocks and the shotguns and the ARs and all of those things, right? So there's an appetite. There's an absolute appetite, and people might not be wanting to admit it so readily, right? But it kind of goes without saying, if you ask me, because these movies keep making millions and millions of dollars, and it's not because people at home like, I'm not going to watch a gun movie.
No, because America, Stephen, loves action, and more than that, we love our guns.
I mean, it's absolutely true, right? Yeah. There's 46% of the country reports having a gun in the home, according to the Associated Press's latest polling. It might be even more than that. We just reported on a study that found a lot of gun owners aren't willing to tell pollsters that they own guns.
I believe that.
So guns are an absolutely pervasive part of American life. Sometimes for the worse, but a lot of times, and this gets ignored, right, for the better.
Yes. So
a
Stephen,
lot of times for the better.
Thinking about that particular study, which I would be fascinating in reading because I'd want to see the scope and methodology behind it.
And we just did a podcast on it too.
To interpret the data. So I will. So guys, check out the Reload to listen to that podcast. I know I will. Talk a little bit about the different sects of gun owners, because you're starting to see a lot of different groups grow and expand in ways that we really couldn't calculate maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a trend that extends back a couple decades, right? It's not brand new, but it did accelerate a lot during the pandemic, right, after 2020. In fact, John can speak to this, right?
Yep.
A lot of people
absolutely.
started buying guns at that period of time. And a lot of them weren't your sort of, there's this kind of stereotype that you hear a lot in media, I think, of like, people who own guns are like the hunters, they're rural old white guys.
It's not stereotypical anymore.
And it's not that way.
Yeah.
And not that those people don't own guns, but there's a lot of, just a huge breadth of people who do own guns. You can see it here at this range day, right? There's a lot of women. Women are one of the largest growing demographics in gun ownership now. You guys just, I believe, talked to somebody who's part of Girl and a Gun shooting league, right? There's and obviously minorities are another big part of it. That study actually found that minority women younger minority women who live in urban areas were among the least likely to tell a pollster that they were going to own a gun, and also were among the largest group.
So the numbers. So just to unpack the data on this, the numbers that we have access to may be underrepresented.
Oh yeah.
And so if you were to say, I mean, I think they said 78-80% increase, something to that effect. How off do you think those calculations are?
I mean, that study found that as much as half of the people who said they didn't own guns had indicators that they did own guns.
I mean, that's insane, John. Those numbers. I mean,
no, for sure.
I don't know that that's
it's not
it's really that
surprising to me,
high,
though.
but it's definitely a significant amount. And this matters a ton, not just for gun culture, but the gun industry and how it needs to adapt to serve this new group of people who are coming in who have different interests than your traditional hunter in the Pennsylvania wilderness or whatever. And it also has a huge impact on politics at the end of the day, because there's a huge demographic of people now who are probably not well represented by either party at this point.
Sure of that.
Listen, I've said it. I've said it a number of times. I used to be indifferent about firearms before I got a firearm. And the moment I got a firearm, that indifference went away completely, and now I understand exactly what the fight is about. I totally understand it. And the thing is that, I tell people that may also be indifferent, it's like their voice matters too, right? And I mean, let's say you're indifferent but leaning towards the side, like, hey, listen, I want people to have their guns. Well, say that. Say that in the conversation. At least be a part of the conversation.
And how people interact with politics after they bought their first gun. There were millions of new gun owners. One of the largest spikes in new gun ownership in 2020. How that translates long term in our politics is going to be a huge topic, and that's something that we cover closely at the Reload.
It is going to be a huge topic. And you know what, Stephen? We got a few minutes here before we transition to our next guest.
A few minutes? We got like
or seconds, I should say, thanks to John. Real quick, what impact do you predict this explosion in new gun owners will have on the 2024 presidential?
I mean, I think it's hard to say because I think it's going to be more of a long-term effect. People buy their first
this
gun.
This isn't just a ripple.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, a snap of the finger and everybody changed their mind. You go from not voting to voting party line one way or the other, or you go from voting for one party and immediately switch to the other party. I don't think that's how it works, right? People still have all their same priorities outside of guns, most likely. And so I think this change is going to be a little more subtle. You might see it a little more at the local level. You might see the parties change how they approach these issues, who they reach out to, talk about these issues, the gun issue with, how they talk about it. And I think it'll be more of a long-term thing, but it could absolutely have a significant impact in 2024. You're certainly likely to get a huge dichotomy in the approach to gun policy on each side in that election.
No doubt about it. Stephen Gutowski, founder of The Reload. Check them out. Stephen, give the website.
Yeah, thereload.com, and the podcast is the Weekly Reload Podcast.
And I will be listening to the latest podcast. He's also the...
we got to have you back on. You were on.
We do need to go back on, John, so we got to make that happen.
Get it on the calendar.
He's also, guys, the firearms analyst for CNN. And yes, CNN has a gun guy. I just can't get over that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, man.